Hello everyone, President Obama here. Welcome to the Presidential Tier List Trilogy movie. This is the longest video on the channel and I hope you watch through the whole thing. Anyways, grab some snacks and enjoy the movie.
What the hell are we doing here, Obama?
We're going to be making a tier list of Overwatch 2 characters.
That shitty game, really?
Come on, Trump, don't be like that.
Yeah, this should be fun.
All right, whatever. Let's get started then.
In that case, first up is Anna.
That reminds me of this movie my grandson watched. What was it called? Cold?
It's Frozen, you demented fuck.
Calm down, Trump. Anyways, Anna is a solid support. Her healing is pretty good and she provides useful utility to the team. I'd say B tier.
I don't know, George. I can never hit my shots with her. I say F tier.
That's because you suck, Joe. Put her in B tier, Obama.
Will do.
Next is Ash. Honestly, she was always a great character.
Yeah, and with the nerf to Widow and Hanzo, it just makes her even better, but I wouldn't say she's S tier.
I agree. And I already know what Joe is about to say. So don't listen to him and drop Ash in A.
Oh, come on, man.
Next, we have a truly goated character, Baptiste.
I can agree with you on this one, Trump. After all of his buffs, Baptiste is in the best place he's ever been.
Yeah, his healing burst is great and his damage is just as good as some DPS characters.
I say that Baptiste is worthy of the first S tier of the night. Next is Bastion. In all honesty, despite his high DPS, he is countered by a lot of characters and is super big.
Did you forget that Bastion drops bombs on people like you did to people in the Middle East?
Shut the hell up, Trump Oompa Loompa looking ass.
Enough squabbling, you two. But you raised some great points, Barry. Bastion isn't as good as he was in Overwatch 1.
Yeah, he honestly just isn't the most viable pick for a team. I say put him in C tier.
I can get behind that. Next is Brigitte. I wonder what you guys think of her at the moment.
She's really good right now. Definitely one of the better supports, but not quite S tier.
I think B tier she's good, but outshined by the other supports.
I disagree. A tier suits her better with her strong ultimate and area of effect healing.
I'm going to have to agree with George on this one. Sorry, Joe.
It's all right, Obama.
Ah, god damn it. Not this Western weirdo.
After his buff, Cassidy can slow down enemies and stop their movement abilities.
Now he's super strong and an S tier pick.
That's all fine and dandy. But did you all forget that this is basically his stun grenade? Except now it locks onto people.
Never thought about that, but now that I think about it, you're right. He's now back to how he was in Overwatch 1, but just more annoying.
That doesn't change the fact that he's a must pick now.
Drop him in S, Barry. Next is Diva. She's honestly a sleeper pick, but nothing too remarkable.
I don't know, you guys, she's not that great.
Is it because her mech can fly like a plane, George?
God damn it, Barack.
Kind of walked into that one, George. Anyway, I think B tier is a good place for her.
Next up is Doomfist. Doomfist has been in a weird place since Overwatch 2 launched, but I feel he's a pretty good pick this season.
What the hell are you smoking, Barack? Doomfist has been ass since day one and is still ass.
Trump, what are you talking about? With Junker Queen being so strong, a good Doomfist can outplay her.
Let me explain that. His damage is pitiful and all of his abilities are lackluster at best. He's one of the worst heroes, let alone tanks in the game.
Nobody's saying he's the best tank, but in a JQ meta, he's kind of neat.
I say we put him in A tier.
Hell no. D tier is the highest a Saitama wannabe can go.
How about we compromise and put him in B tier?
Fine.
That's fine with me.
Next is Echo. She was really strong upon release and has kind of mellowed out.
Yeah, she's nothing crazy, but not bad either.
I think she should go B tier.
Putting her in B.
Next is Genji.
Despite what people say, he's really good right now. His shuriken might not do crazy damage, but if you use him correctly, he can be a vital teammate.
Isn't it weird that he can block molten lava but not a rock?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. But that aside, I think Genji is an A tier.
Next is Genji's brother Hanzo. With his nerfs in Season 5, he isn't as good as he was before, but still a great character.
Everyone who plays Hanzo is a sissy baby and relies only on luck to get headshots.
What are you talking about, Donnie? Hanzo takes a lot of skill to line up headshots and land them at the right moment.
Not really, Joe. You kind of just need to fire a full power arrow at an enemy and it will most likely hit them. With that being said, I say we put Hanzo in B tier.
I agree, George. Put Hanzo in B tier, Obama.
Will do. Next we have Junker Queen.
Even after her nerfs this season, she is still probably the best tank in the game.
Yeah, her damage is absolutely insane.
Not to mention her survivability as well.
Yeah, she is undoubtedly an S tier.
Next we have Junkrat. What a waste of space.
Waste of space? Junkrat is easily S tier.
Of course your old ass likes Junkrat.
Yeah, Joe, with a shitty take like that, I can't believe you were my VP.
I'm surprised you don't like Junkrat, Barry. He drops bombs on people just like you.
Shut up, George. Anyways, Junkrat's kid isn't the best and can be countered by other heroes.
Yeah, this weird ass shoe drinker's an awful character. Put his ass in F tier Obama. Next we have Kiriko. Even though she's really annoying, her kid is insanely good.
Yeah, her Suzu can get her and her team out of dangerous ultimates, and Kitsune Rush works well with high damaging heroes.
Yeah, and she's really cute as well. I wonder what her shoulders smell like.
Jesus fucking Christ, do you ever think before you speak, Creepy Joe?
Joe's creepy ass aside, drop Kiriko and S tier Obama.
Will do.
Next we have probably the jankiest hero in the game. Lifeweaver is a D tier hero. His healing is horrendous and his abilities suck ass.
Gonna have to agree with you on this one, Don.
Lifeweaver has been pretty bad since his release last season, but with the buff to his healing, he's a little bit better than before.
Well, any more dog shit takes Joe.
I'll have you know that I don't really like Lifeweaver that much. His keybinds are confusing, and for whatever reason, they put his primary fire as his pedals and not his needles.
You know they can be switched in the settings, Joe.
Wait, really?
Of course he didn't know. Anyways, put Lifeweaver in D tier Obama.
Next up, we have Lucio. With Junker Queen being meta, Lucio is really good right now.
It always scares me seeing a JQ and Lucio running straight at me.
Good Lord, man up, Brandon. Anyways, his healing isn't always the best, but being able to heal your entire team and using his sound barrier in order to survive ultimates makes Lucio an S tier.
I can get behind that.
Next is Mei. She's an instant S tier. Not only does her buff to her primary fire and freezing abilities make her really strong, but she can also make walls. And you all know how much I love making walls?
Of course you would say that. The new Hinder debuff can get rid of your abilities just like Cassidy's grenade.
Not only that, but she's really cute. I wonder what...
Don't finish that goddamn sentence, Joe. Put her in S tier before Joe starts talking again. Next we have Mercy.
Honestly, Mercy isn't really that good. Unless she is damage boosting a hit scan, then she can't really do much.
Wrong. So very wrong. Mercy is easily S tier.
What are you talking about, Trump?
Mercy's healing is extremely good, and her ultimate not only increases it, but gives her pistol unlimited ammo. Need I say more?
Trump, Mercy at this point is just average and can't go any higher than B tier.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Bush and Obama here, Trump. Mercy is just average.
Fine, whatever, I just want to get this stupid list over with.
Next is Moira. She was nerfed this season. Now she can no longer fade out of abilities that keep her in one place.
Yeah, that alongside her mid-healing, she's not that great.
At this point, she's better as a DPS hero instead of a support.
I nominate Moira to the C tier.
Now we have this weird horse robot thing.
It's Orisa dumbass.
Anyways, Orisa was really dominant in the earlier seasons, but now she is outshined by most of the other tanks.
I'd say she's a C tier. Now that JQ is basically everywhere, she can't really do much against her on her own.
Yeah, honestly, all she can really do is get out of annoying abilities and ultimates.
Next is Pharaoh. Now, George, I know how much you hate planes, but she's a pretty good character.
Shut up, Barack. I actually kind of like Pharaoh, but her ultimate is pretty bad.
She's pretty good unless the enemy team are running hit scan heroes.
She flies in the air like a bird.
Joe, did you take your damn pills today?
Calm down, Cheeto man. I'm going to put Pharaoh in B tier. She's not the best, but by any means not horrible.
Next we have Ramatra. He's probably one of the most balanced heroes right now.
What the hell do you mean balanced? He can punch through shields and his ultimate lasts longer than Trump's presidency.
Shut the hell up, Sleepy Joe. That just sounds like a skill issue.
Yeah, Joe Ramatra punishes bad players and rewards good players. You just have to not be a noob.
Put Ramatra in. A tier Barry.
Now we have the edgelord himself, Reaper.
Like Moira, he was nerfed this season. He can't use Wraith form to get out of immobilizing abilities.
I honestly believe he's just average. Put him in C tier.
I don't know, he's pretty scary, I think.
Shut up, Joe.
Next up is Reinhardt.
Probably one of the more basic heroes, but he is pretty good right now.
Not only does his hammer do pretty good damage, but his shield can take a lot of punishment.
But he is countered quite heavily in the current meta.
That's true, Joe. I think Reinhardt is an B tier hero.
Yeah, drop him in B.
Now we have Roadhog.
Shut the fuck up, Obunga. Roadhog right now is ass.
Kind of like your presidency.
You of all people can't be talking, George.
Neither can you, Joe. Anyways, Don is right. Even though he got a buff, he is still outclassed by almost every other tank.
And his healing can be nullified by JQ. Instant D tier.
Yeah, I agree. Put him in D tier, Barry.
On it.
Now we have the most balanced hero in the game.
On really long and narrow maps like Circuit Royale in Havana, Sigma can destroy Junker Queen.
As long as JQ can't close the distance, Sigma will win most fights.
Damn. This game literally boils down to if the character can beat Junker Queen or not. Whatever I think Sigma is, A tier.
Drop him in, Aobamna.
Now we have Sojourn. She was extremely strong upon Overwatch 2's release and is still really strong.
She should be S tier.
Slow down, Trump. She's strong, but not that strong. A tier is a better place for her.
I'll have to agree with Bush, she's good, but not S tier.
Fine.
Next we have Soldier 76.
Look at how they massacred my boy.
It's really unfortunate to see how far he has fallen. Not only is his time to kill kind of ass, but with Cassidy's and May's buffs, he just isn't viable anymore.
Yeah, Blizzard really needs to buff him somehow. But until then, I think Soldier is F tier.
Unfortunately so.
Next, we have an illegal alien. Sombra. I'm going to keep out of this one because you already know what my rating will be of her.
I think that's for the best.
Honestly, Sombra is a solid hero.
It really boils down to how good the player and the team is. If the team is super uncoordinated, then Sombra is less useful and vice versa.
Yeah, I believe Sombra is an A tier.
Good for me.
All right, Trump, you can come back to the conversation.
All right, now we have Symmetra. Honestly, the worse you are at the game, the more annoying Sim is.
I guess it makes sense that Joe keeps dying to her.
Oh, come on, man.
Anyway, Sim can output a lot of damage, but other than that, she doesn't have a lot to defend herself with.
But Barry, she gets bonus points because her ultimate is a big, huge wall.
Really, Trump?
Of course you don't like it, Bush. Seeing how the wall is about the size of the Twin Towers.
God damn it.
Anyways, I think Symmetra is an A tier.
Putting her in A.
Next up is Torbjorn, probably the worst one out of the two turret heroes.
By worse, you mean better. His turret is insane if placed in the right spot. A tier really...
Now Trump Torb is B tier at best.
What the fuck are you, One Obunga?
Yeah, Trump Torb goes B tier.
God damn it, whatever.
Next we have the poster child of Overwatch, Tracer.
Even with the Cassidy buff and the increase to her bullet spread making her effective range smaller, she is still a great character.
I agree, I feel that the nerf was kinda unnecessary, but she's an A tier.
Drop her in, A Obama. Now we have Widowmaker.
Even after her nerf, she still has extremely high damage.
The game was pretty unfun when she could one-shot from across the map.
The game is still unfun.
Come on, Trump, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. This game is the worst thing to happen under your presidency. And that's saying something.
Damn, did him dirty. Anyways, I think Widow is an A tier.
I agree, Obama put her in A tier.
Next is Winston looks kind of familiar.
Don't fucking say it, you fat fuck.
Chill out, you guys.
Winston is okay, but since JQ is meta, he isn't gonna do that good.
For once we agree, Joe, I say B tier.
Putting him in B. Next is Wrecking Ball. Probably the most annoying tank.
He doesn't really even do anything. He kind of just rolls around and that's about it.
Yeah, I say put him in C tier.
I agree, I hate going up against a ball.
Don't we all, Joe? Next is Zarya.
She's actually pretty good and is one of the only tanks that can hold their own against JQ.
If played right, she can definitely kill a JQ.
Really? All she has are those weird bubbles.
Yes, Sleepy Joe, you just need to know how to use them.
Anyways, I'm gonna put Zarya in A tier.
Works for me.
Finally, we have Zenyatta.
Even though his regular healing sucks his damage and ultimate makeup for it.
Yeah, I believe that Zen is S tier. As a support, his damage is nearly unmatched.
He was definitely designed to have 2 enemy tanks, but he's really strong. S tier, he goes. Well, guys, we're finally done.
Fucking finally.
That was fun. Want to hop on Overwatch?
I can't, it's my bedtime.
I just don't want to. My back is killing me right now.
Can't me and Michelle are going out for dinner?
Well, damn. Guess I'll just solo queue.
All right, gentlemen. Today we are making another tier list. This time for Apex Legends characters.
Well, at least it's for a better game than Overwatch.
Yeah, and hopefully Joe can have some better takes.
What do you mean? I have amazing takes.
You have absolutely zero amazing takes.
My takes are 100% better than yours, you orange bastard.
Calm down, you two. We haven't even started the tier list yet. Now, first up, we have Ashe.
Not a great legend.
Yeah, her tactical is pretty useless and her passive is downright terrible.
Honestly, her ultimate is the best and only really useful part of her kit, but that doesn't help her much.
I say she should go to C tier.
I agree.
Next, we have the most recent legend, Ballistic.
He's honestly really balanced and has been since the beginning of the season.
He's really underwhelming, in my opinion.
Of course your noob ass would say that. Ballistic is a rare type of legend. He wasn't stupid, overpowered, or extremely underpowered. He's balanced. Put him in B. Obama.
Got it. Next is Bangalore.
She's terrible. Her passive isn't that good. Her ultimate is really situational, and her tactical is worthless. D tier.
What the hell happened to Amazing Takes? That take was downright horrendous.
Yeah, Joe, that shit was worse than you funneling millions of dollars to Ukraine.
Anyways, Bangalore is an amazing legend. If used correctly, her tactical brings great utility. Her ultimate might not be the best in the game, it's still really good for zoning out enemies.
Now that's what you call an amazing take. Bangalore is a great legend and is definitely an S tier.
Drop her in S. Barry.
Now we have Bloodhound.
A very solid legend. Their passive isn't that useful, though.
Yeah, with Sears changes, Bloodhound is a lot more viable now.
Honestly, Bloodhound is an A tier.
Sounds good.
Next is Catalyst. She's really strong.
Her tactical isn't that good if you just throw it out in the open. But if you throw one behind a door, you can deal damage, and the enemy won't be able to destroy it without taking damage. Not only is she a S-tier legend, but she also has a wall, one of the best legends in the game.
Her wall is extremely useful in later rounds. You can completely cut off a portion of the map with it and be able to deal damage to enemies while they are totally helpless.
And with her passive, you can completely lock down a building.
Put her in S. Obama.
Next is Caustic. Honestly, he hasn't been that good, especially since they made it to where his canisters can be destroyed easier.
He used to be one of the best and has kind of lost his footing.
I think C tier is a good place for Caustic. He isn't nearly as good as he used to be, but still has potential.
With Storm Point in rotation, he isn't completely worthless, but just isn't good right now. C is a fair place.
Putting him in C.
Next is Crypto. What a miserable legend.
Miserable? Crypto is a great legend.
No, the hell he isn't.
And I thought Joe had bad takes.
Hold on, everyone. Let's hear Trump's reasoning.
Thank you, George. Anyways, his kit makes you sit in a corner for hours on end. His EMP stuns himself and his teammates, and without his drone, he literally has no abilities.
Those are some good points, Donnie. But he provides amazing utility with his scans, and he can pick up his teammates' banner and respawn them with almost no risk. If used correctly and put in a good team comp, Crypto is an A-tier legend.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Obama and Biden on this one, Don.
George, I would have thought you would hate Crypto, considering his drone flies like a plane.
Shut the hell up, Trump.
Calm down, you two. Personally, I say Crypto is A tier. But to put Trump's opinion into consideration, he'll go to B tier.
Next is Fuse. He's not that great.
The only good thing about his kit is his tactical. Being able to stick a cluster bomb onto enemies is pretty good, but other than that, he doesn't have a lot going for him.
I mean, his passive is pretty good as well.
No, it isn't Obama. Just because you like dropping bombs doesn't mean it's a good passive. Not only does his passive suck, his ultimate is absolutely terrible.
For once we agree, Don, I say C tier.
Fine.
Next is Gibraltar. With his gun shield and the fortified perk, he has the most health in the game. He is the king of 1v1s.
His ultimate, like Bangalore's, can zone out enemies and even kill.
Also in his shield, he can revive teammates faster.
He's a really strong legend, but I wouldn't say he's S tier. Even with the fortified perk, he still has a huge hitbox. So I think A tier is better suited for Gibby.
A makes sense. Next is Horizon. Another great legend.
Her gravity lift is a great tactical that can propel her into the air or even block a doorway.
When at the top of a lift, you have reduced accuracy, and it will kick you off after a few seconds. So that brings her down a little bit.
But other than that, her kit is quite amazing, another A-tier legend.
Next we have Lifeline.
I remember when she was strong in the earlier seasons of the game and they just nerfed her into oblivion. but she's a lot better now, but probably the worst support legend.
Yeah, Gibraltar, Newcastle, and even Mirage are better for reviving. But since she can craft an ally's banner, she is still pretty viable.
I think B tier works best for Lifeline.
I agree with that. Next is Loba.
I think we all can agree that Loba is S tier.
Her ultimate is insane, and if used correctly, her tactical can be great for movement.
Her passive is the weakest part of her kit, but even that has its perks.
She's just an all-round great legend and is definitely an S tier.
Next is Mad Maggie. Honestly, she has some pretty good abilities, but the main thing holding her back is her passive.
Yeah, having to use a specific weapon just to run a little faster isn't that great.
The rest of her kit is pretty good. She's a direct counter to Gibraltar.
I think Maggie is B tier. Her passive is really holding her back. Next is Mirage. He used to be really terrible for a long time, but now he's not half bad.
Being able to go invisible to revive your teammates is a great ability.
Not only that, but now that he is a support legend, he can craft teammate banners.
He's just decent right now, I say B tier.
B tier works.
Next is Newcastle. Definitely an underrated legend.
He has the best revive in the game. Being able to move around and shield yourself and your ally is a great passive.
Not only that, but he basically has a Gibby bubble on wheels.
Even though his pick rate is extremely low, he's a great character. I think A tier is a good place for him.
Drop him there.
Next is Octane. Even though he's one of the most fun legends to play, he isn't that good.
The fact that in order to gain a speed boost you need to damage yourself already makes him pretty shit.
Not only that, but they made his jump pad super loud so you can hear it from a mile away.
His passive is pretty alright, but not that noticeable. I think C tier is a good place.
C works.
Next is Pathfinder. He's in a really good place right now.
In Season 16, he got a buff to his ultimate and a slight rework to his passive.
With the rework, he can get his zipline really early in the match and continuously get it extremely fast.
If you know how to properly use his grapple, he can be a great ally.
I think he should go A tier.
Sounds good.
Next we have Rampart. She has the worst passive in the game.
I don't know about the worst one, but it's not useful.
Nobody uses fucking LMGs in this game.
Even though her passive is useless, her walls are pretty good and Sheila is an amazing ultimate.
Holy shit! I completely forgot that Rampart makes walls. That makes her instantly better.
Really? I honestly believe that Rampart is B tier. Sheila really carries her.
B tier is good.
Next is probably the most worthless legend in the goddamn game.
Revenant is super bad right now. He has a super large hitbox, but doesn't even have fortified.
His ultimate is complete dog shit and his passive is really situational.
The only good thing about his kit is his tactical. It can stop legends with movement abilities from running away, but that doesn't help him whatsoever.
Let's just hope Revenant Reborn can save this completely asinine legend. Next is Seer. Even with his little rework this season, he still is a top-tier legend.
Instead of canceling revives and healing his stun, now silences any enemy hit by it, making Revenant even more irrelevant.
His ultimate got nerfed a bit. Now you can no longer see the diamond of people moving. Instead, you just see their footsteps.
Even though he isn't super broken, he's still extremely strong. I think he's S tier.
Putting him in S.
Next is Valkyrie. She's a B tier legend.
The main problem with Valkyrie isn't the character herself. It's the introduction of evac towers.
Evac towers make a Valkyrie less needed now.
Not to mention she looks like a plane.
But her tactical lets you drop bombs on innocent Middle Eastern civilians. Truly goated.
The jokes write themselves, ladies and gentlemen.
Shut it.
But Donnie is right, Valkyrie is B tier now.
Next is Vantage. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot she existed.
Can't blame you for that, she's pretty ass. Not worse than Revenant, but pretty terrible nonetheless.
I say C tier, she's just forgettable.
Damn, that was fast. Next is Watson.
Her ultimate carries.
Just because her ultimate is strong doesn't mean she's not good.
Her fences are really useful, but her shield regen is almost non-existent.
Being able to hold 2 ultimate accelerants is pretty cool, though.
I think she's A tier.
Finally, we have Wraith. Let's start this off by acknowledging the fact that she has basically no passive.
Yeah, by the time the voice tells you that there's someone aiming at you, they are most likely already shooting.
But on a good note, she has a very small hitbox, and her tactical is great.
If used correctly, her portal can be a game changer. She's definitely not S tier, but I think A tier is fair,
I can get behind that.
and that's it.
I'm going to get off you guys. I'm going to go to Ben & Jerry's and get my 15 scoops of chocolate chip ice cream.
How has he not had a heart attack yet?
Who knows you guys want to hop on Apex?
Sure.
Why not?
All right, everyone. Today we're making yet another tier list. This time about all of the Rainbow Six Siege operators.
Well, of all of the games we've done, R6 is definitely the best.
And now we have to sit through Trump's horrendous takes.
Shut the hell up, George. My opinions are always the best, believe me. At least they're better than Sleepy Joe's. Speaking of which, where the hell is he?
I don't know. Let me add him to the call.
Hey guys, sorry for being so late. I was taking a nap. What are we doing?
Of fucking course you were sleeping. Whatever, we're making a Siege tier list.
Now that Joe is here, we can begin. First is Capkin. What are your thoughts?
I'd say A tier. His traps have always been really good, and now that the meta is team deathmatch, he is even better.
His guns are pretty good, and his secondary gadgets are good too.
He is all around a pretty good operator. Drop him in. A. Obama.
Bet. Next is Tachanka.
Ah yes, a truly S-tier operator. There is no need to discuss. Just put him in S. Obama.
Slow your fucking roll, Sloppy Joe. Tachanka is dog shit.
Yeah, Joe, explain yourself.
Simple, he is a god amongst men.
Of fucking course your slow ass still likes the Lord Tachanka meme. Joe, that meme died years ago.
Yeah, Joe, Chanka is absolute dog shit. His rework did nothing for the character. He goes F tier.
Come on, Barry, my opinion has to count for something.
Hell no, Joe. Chanka is F tier whether you like it or not. Next up is Glaz. Honestly, he's pretty mid.
Mid is the right word, George. His sniper is all right, but other than that, he's pretty worthless.
I don't really like Glaz that much. It's pretty hard to hit my shots with him.
That's because you're a noob, Joe. Anyways, I think C tier is a good place for Glaz.
No arguments here.
To finish off the OG Russians, we have Fuse. He got a bit of a buff this season. He can now place his charges on deployable shields and Osa's Talon shields.
Even with that minuscule buff, he's not that good. Even though he has one of the best guns on attack, he's still a 3 armor, which makes him really loud.
You bring up some good points, Donnie. Fuse is carried by his guns, in my opinion. The AK-12 is a great assault rifle with low recoil, making Fuse a very beginner-friendly operator.
I think Fuse should be B tier. The AK-12 is definitely the best part of his kit, but his gadget is still useful.
That's way too high for him. I say D tier.
There are a lot of opinions on Fuse. I personally think he's average. How about we meet in the middle and put him in C tier?
I'm cool with that.
Next is IQ. I think she's all right, probably C tier.
Honestly, I think D tier. Her gadget is pretty worthless. The only reason to really pick her is to counter Solus. But even then, that doesn't really help her.
Like most operators, the only reason why anyone ever picks her is for her guns.
Even if you can use her to find cameras, you have a drone that can find them. Up next is Blitz. I think this is an easy one. Should I just drop him in D?
Hell no! Blitz is S tier.
What the fuck, Don? You actually like Blitz?
Of course I do. His shield reminds me of my big, beautiful wall. That alone makes him S tier.
Bruh, I can't believe what I'm hearing.
Donnie, this has to be your worst take ever? Blitz isn't good. The only reason he is an F tier is because his shield can actually be useful in some situations.
Shut the fuck up, Abunga. Blitz should be S tier.
Nah, put his ass in D, Obama.
Gladdy. Next is Bandit.
After Cade was released, Bandit has become irrelevant. I personally say B tier.
Even if Cade is the better of the two of them, Bandit is still useful. Not only that, but he has the MP7, probably the best SMG in the game.
Good point, George. While Bandit is outclassed by Cade, he still is a very good operator. What do you think, Joe?
God damn it.
Joe, wake your ass up.
Huh? Oh, sorry guys, what were we talking about?
We were talking about Bandit before you dozed off.
Oh, I like Bandit, A tier.
I think A tier is fair. To finish off the GSG-9, we have Jaeger. Honestly, I think he's S tier.
Very valid opinion, Obama. Jaeger is super strong. His gadget is one of the best on defense.
Jaeger is the one that can destroy grenades, right?
That is correct, Joe. The fact he can do that is pretty great.
Oh yeah, his ADS things are really useful.
It seems we're all in agreement for putting Jaeger in S tier. Next is Rook. Honestly, he's all right, I guess. Just a bit average.
Honestly, I think C tier. His gadget is literally just an armor pack.
There isn't a whole lot to say about Rook, so I'm cool with C.
Drop him and see Obama.
Will do.
Now we have Doc, a pretty good operator.
I think B, his stim pistol is pretty good. It's just like my Adderall.
Not only does he have a good gadget, his guns aren't half bad either.
I think B is a good spot for him. Now we have Twitch, honestly another mid-operator.
I think C tier. Her drone is garbage and the F2 has been nerfed into the ground. It's sad to see how far she has fallen.
I guess the only reason you would use Twitch is if Thatcher was banned, but even then there are operators with EMP grenades, so still pretty worthless.
Her guns are hard to control, especially the F2. God, I hate that gun.
Put her in C Obama.
Gotcha.
Now we have Montaigne, another S tier operator.
Again, are you saying he's S tier because his shield looks like a wall?
You bet your ass that's why, George.
Bruh, Donnie, the only wall you should be worried about right now are the walls of prison.
Shut the hell up, Obama, I'm innocent.
This mugshot says otherwise.
Damn, got bro looking like a Disney villain.
I'll have you know that I was released, so shut your bitch asses up.
Can we rank Monty now?
Oh yeah, completely forgot about the list. I think Monty is B tier.
He is definitely more protected than Blitz, and with a good team, he can be even better. B works. Now we have Thermite.
He's useful, but he is outclassed by Ace.
Very true. I think B tier is a good place for him.
I don't really play hard breach operator, so whatever you guys are picking are cool with me.
B it is then. Now we have Ash.
I think A tier, she has really good guns.
Not only that, but she's a 3-speed.
Some might say her gadget isn't good because it is outclassed by Zofia, but it is still extremely useful. A is a good spot.
Putting her in A.
Next is Pulse.
He has a really niche gadget and his guns are mediocre. I say D tier.
D tier is a little low, Don, even though you bring up some good points. If you get a good map, then Pulse is instantly better.
Good point, George. I was thinking D tier myself, but now I'm thinking C tier.
I'm cool with C tier.
Next is Castle. I think he's super underrated.
Underrated? He's probably one of the worst defenders ever.
They'll take Joe.
Explain yourself, Joe.
Gladly. His armor panels are just ass. There's never a good place to put the damn things. And like Pulse, his guns are dog shit.
Seems like a skill issue.
That is possibly the worst take of all time. Joe, you're just a damn noob. You have to put the panels slightly out of the objective or on windows in order to get use. You can't just board up a room and think it's going to do anything.
I think Castle should go in B tier. I think if his guns were better, he would be a lot higher.
Valid opinion, George B, he goes.
Next is Thatcher. I don't think we need to discuss this one.
I don't think so.
Yep, S tier he goes.
I don't know, guy.
Shut up, Joe.
Now we have Smoke.
B tier, he just isn't as good as he was before, especially after he lost his deployable shield.
I think A tier, his gadget is useful and the FMG is a great gun.
I think A tier is too high for Smoke. He fell off. There are other operators that do his job better than him.
I'm going to have to agree with Donald and George on this one. He just isn't as good as he used to be.
Next is Sledge. He's one of the best operators for vertical play.
He's also one of the only attackers with frag grenades, making him even better.
Not only that, his gun is just great.
With all of this in mind, Sledge is worthy of an S tier ranking.
To finish off all of the Pathfinder operators, we have Mute.
It seems like Ubisoft was cooking with the SAS ops. Mute is also S tier.
He has one of the most useful gadgets on defense, and has two great primary options.
There isn't a whole lot to say about Mute that hasn't already been said. Put him in S Obama.
Okay. Next is Buck.
Buck is really strong, but with Sledge and Ram, he is really outclassed.
Even though those two outclass him, he is still an A tier operator, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think A tier works.
Next up is Frost. She got a major rework this season.
C tier, her rework sucks major ass.
C tier is too low, Donnie. Her guns are still pretty good, and her mats are still great, I think. A tier.
Even though attackers can get out of her mats, the fact that she can track them for a whole minute is really good. Definitely A tier.
Shut the fuck up, Joe. Your old ass can barely stay awake for a minute.
At least I'm not going to be dropping the soap, you dumbass tangerine.
Gentlemen, calm down. You all raised some good points. I say A tier myself, so that's where she goes.
Fine, whatever, Obama. Next is the most miserable attacker in the game, Blackbeard.
There isn't really anything to say about Blackbeard. He's just dog shit.
Not only does his gun suck major ass, but his gadget is fucking abysmal.
Put his ass in F, Barry.
Now we have Valkyrie. I think S tier, if placed in a good spot, her cams can be legendary.
Not only that, but the MPX is pretty good.
And she has a nitro cell.
I think she should be S purely on how useful she is.
That's fair. Next is Capito. I wonder what your thoughts on him are.
I think B tier. He is definitely useful, but with the current meta, he's less useful.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, Donnie. I think S tier, not only does he bring great utility, but he also has great fragging capability.
S tier is way too high. I'll admit that he's a good operator. He's not that good.
I think S tier is fair, Don. He can hide and protect the diffuser and has hard breach charges.
There seem to be a lot of opinions. How about we meet in the middle at A tier?
I'm cool with that.
It's fine.
Next is Kavira.
I think D tier. She has a very selfish kit and only really works against a team that doesn't drone well.
Yeah, unlike Solus and Vigil, she can't counter drones.
I nominate Cav to the D tier.
Next is Hibana. She's really strong.
Her whole kit is really solid. I say S tier.
S tier is a little too high. A tier is more suitable. Even though she can get hatches and has a great kit, she can't open up walls at all.
I agree with George. She's a great operator that would be S tier as she was better at opening walls.
Dog shit takes. All of you. Walls are meant to be built, not destroyed.
Well, Hibana is going in A tier whether you like it or not, Donnie.
Fine, and whatever this list is taking forever anyways.
Next up is Echo.
I think B tier. He has a great kit, but isn't nearly as good as he was before.
Yeah, removing the invisibility of his yokai drones was stupid as fuck.
On God, Donnie, even though his drones aren't invisible anymore, he is still one of the only defenders with a 1.5 scope.
I think B tier is fair. He can still deny plants and has a good gun.
Next up is probably one of the weirdest and most annoying operators in the damn game, Jackal. I mean, he literally analyzes your fucking feet and tracks you. F tier just for that.
Hold on, Cheeto Man. Foot fetishes aside, I think Jackal is a solid operator. B tier at the highest.
Hell no. Jackal is similar to Sleepy Creepy Joe, but instead of sniffing shoulders, he sniffs feet.
What the fuck, Don? I literally didn't even say anything. Just for that, Jackal should go in B tier.
Enough squabbling, you guys. Since Trump can't seem to form a proper opinion on Jackal, he goes B tier.
That seems fair.
Fine, but George, if you ever pull some shit like that again, I'll kick your ass.
Keep talking shit, Donnie.
Next up is Mira. Honestly, I think she's S tier.
S tier is fair. She makes one-way bulletproof mirrors. We could use those on my wall to see if any illegal aliens are trying to cross.
Well, Donnie's racist remarks aside, Mira is definitely an S tier operator.
Yeah, the Vector is one of the best SMGs in Siege. That alone makes her pretty good.
Well, in that case, Mira goes in S. Next is Ying. She is really useful for rushing the site. I think A tier.
The T-95 is a great LMG and her candelas are super useful.
I don't really play Ying, so I don't care where you guys put her.
Same here.
All right, A tier she goes. Now we have Legion. He got a crazy rework this season. He has more goo mines and they recharge faster. But now they no longer have cloaking and are now mechanical, meaning EMPs don't work on them.
I don't really get why they reworked him. He seemed fine before.
I agree with you on this one, Sleepy Joe. Now that he has this rework, he is easily an S tier.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that Ubisoft decide to rework and buff characters that don't need it, while characters like Tachanka and Blackbeard are completely forgotten about.
It is unfortunate, George, but that aside, I think we should put Legion in S tier.
No problems here.
Now we have Zofia.
I think Zofia is very similar to Ashe, so A tier.
The only thing holding Zofia back from being better is the fact that she is a 3 armor. Other than that, she's pretty good.
Even if she is a 3 armor, her gadget is better than Ashe's. A tier, works Barry.
Next up is Zofia's sister, Ella.
I say Ella is a C tier. Her gadget isn't that useful and she just doesn't have a lot of utility.
That isn't really fair, Donnie. You can't rate her off of her gadget alone. Even with a pretty mid gadget, she still has a good gun and a deployable shield. I think she's B tier.
I agree with George. Even if her gadget is pretty trash compared to other trap operators, she still has use.
I agree with George and Joe. Ella is a good operator, Don. She goes in B tier.
Fine, whatever.
Next up is Dokkaebi. Not only does she interrupt defender intel gathering, but she also helps track enemies.
C tier, her guns suck ass and her gadget is lackluster at best.
Once again, we have a shitty take from Sleepy Joe. Dokkaebi is an S tier operator. Her guns might be a little underwhelming, but her gadget is extremely useful.
Not only that, but she can hack the defender's cameras. She is a truly S tier operator.
I'm putting Dolka in S tier, and no Joe. Your opinion will not be taken into consideration.
Come on, man.
Next up is Vigil. He got nerfed last season. I think C tier.
C tier is fair. He isn't immune to a line scan or Grimsby's anymore.
The only really redeeming things about his kit are the K1A and his impacts.
Put Vigil in C Obama.
Got it. Next is Finka.
She's mid, even though she counters Frost now. She just doesn't have a lot of utility.
Even if she can revive a teammate from the other side of the map, her gadget as a whole is lackluster.
I agree. I think C tier.
C tier works. Now we have Lion. I think A tier.
He's super useful, not only for roam clearing, but for also forcing the defenders to stay still, allowing you or your teammates to push while they aren't ready.
I think S tier, his kit is super strong. There isn't much that counter his gadget.
I think S tier is a little too high, George. He definitely is good, but not good enough to be an S. A tier is a good spot.
I say A is good.
It seems you're outnumbered, George. Lion goes in A.
All right. Next up is Alibi.
I think C tier. She fell off.
The only useful parts of her kit is the fact that she's a 3-speed with a good gun and she has the bailiff.
Other than that, she's pretty mid. Put her in C Obama.
Gotcha. Next is Maestro.
C tier. Yet another operator that fell off. I mean, how the fuck are they going to give him a gadget that is countered by almost every character in the game?
Even though he has one of the best primary guns in the game, his gadget is just too counterable.
Even though he is heavily countered, his gadget is still good, so C tier works.
Next is Maverick. Yet another C tier.
I think Maverick is too situational to be any higher than C.
If the enemy chooses a bomb site where Maverick is useful, he is really good. Other than that, he's mid.
I mean, the fact that you can't really even open a wall with him, even though he's a hard breacher, is wild.
Put him in C Obama.
Will do.
Next is Clash. C tier 4 times in a row is crazy.
What the hell do you mean C tier? Clash is...
I muted his ass. I don't want to hear any more about that goddamn wall.
Very valid, Obama. Anyways, Clash is definitely C tier. Like Monty, you need a good team in order to get use out of her.
I guess the only reason why she isn't lower than C is because she has a deployable shield and a super shorty.
Great takes. Both of you. I'll put Clash in C tier. And unmute Donnie.
If you ever mute me like that again, I'll kick your ass, Obunga.
Whatever Cheeto face, next up is Kate. I think this is another easy one.
Yeah, Kate is S tier.
Definitely.
Put him in S.
I thought so. Next is Nomad.
She's pretty useful. Her guns are good and her gadget is actually usable. I think B tier.
B tier is fair, George. Nomad is a pretty average operator.
Put her in B Obama.
Next is Gridlock.
I think A tier. She's better than Nomad at flank watching.
Even though she's a 3 armor, she still has a great gun and good gadget.
I think the only downside of her is the fact that she is a 3 armor. But other than that, she's really good. Put her in A tier Obama.
Okay. Next up we have Mozzie. I think B tier. He is super useful for restricting attacker info gathering.
Even though he can do that, he can only shut down 3 drones of 10, not counting Twitch, Flores, and Brava.
Even with that, he still has a great loadout. So I think B is fair.
Drop him in B Obama.
Next is Nook.
She got nerfed last season and has kind of fallen off. I think B tier.
She no longer has silent step and isn't invisible to observation tools.
I feel that nerfing her in Vigil was unnecessary. But I think B tier is good.
Putting her in B.
Next is Warden.
S tier, he is a great operator.
I'll take Donnie. Warden is super overrated.
Yeah, the only reason people use him is because he has a good gun with a 1.5.
I think B tier is more fitting for Warden.
Wrong. So very wrong. Warden is S tier. Not only does he have a great gun, but he has an amazing gadget.
Amazing gadget? That shit is super situational.
Yeah, Donnie. Take the L on this one. Warden goes B tier.
Fine, whatever, you damn haters.
Next is Amaru.
F tier. She was made for fucking around in casual.
While you aren't wrong, I think Amaru should go in D tier just for how fun she is to play.
I think that's fair, George.
Yeah? While she was made for casual players that just want to have fun doesn't mean she's F tier. Donnie?
Whatever, I don't even play her worthless ass. Next up is Goyo, an actually useful operator from Operation Ember Rise.
Harsh but fair. Anyways, I think Goyo is A tier.
Not only does he have the Vector with a 1.5, his gadget is very useful.
I really like playing as Goyo, so I think A tier is good. Next is Callie. I think she's D tier.
Her sniper is extremely inconsistent, and her gadget is mediocre.
Her gadget would be a lot more useful if it wasn't countered by Jaeger ADSs and Wamai's magnets.
Put Callie in D tier.
Next is Wamai. Does he look familiar, Obama?
Shut your racist ass up, Trump.
Stop squabbling, you two. We have an operator to rank.
Fine. I think Wamai is S tier. Purely on the fact that he can destroy enemies' utility like Jaeger.
Not only that, he has a 1.5 on the MP5K.
Well, there are no complaints from me. Drop him in S.
Next is Iana.
I think S tier. She is one of the best solo queue operators in the game.
And she has grenades.
Iana is just an all-around great operator. Put her in S, Obama.
Will do. Next is Oryx.
I think A tier. After his buff to his hatch climbing speed in Season 2, he is much better.
I think A is too high, Don. While his buff was great, he isn't on the level of the A tier operators.
He does have the bailiff and barbed wire. I think he should go in B tier.
B tier is fine.
Putting Oryx in B.
Next up is Ace. We all know he is S tier.
Yep, he's the best hard breacher in the game.
Definitely. He has the AK-12 and can open up walls super easily.
Like I said before, I don't play hard breachers, so S tier is fine.
Next is Malusi.
She's a B tier. Her gadget is great, but her guns aren't the best, and she's a 3 armor.
With a Malusi on the enemy team, you can't really get aggressive.
She would be A tier if she wasn't a 3-speed, but for right now she is B.
B she goes. Next is Zero. I think he's B tier. While his guns are amazing, his gadget kinda sucks.
Sucks is right. The Argus camera is fucking terrible. Not only is it loud as hell, but if you solo queue, you can't rely on your teammates to watch it.
Zero is heavily carried by his guns and the fact that he is a 3-speed.
Drop him in B Obama. Next is Aruni.
Not only can she punch large holes in walls, but her primary options are pretty good.
Her laser gates are pretty good. The attackers have to either find a way around them or waste utility to disable them.
I think Aruni should go in A tier.
A is fair. Next is Flores, S tier.
Wow, Obama, you seem excited.
Of course I am. I mean, Flores literally has a drone that explodes. Reminds me of my time in office and all of the drone strikes I did.
Damn, Obama, that's super out of pocket.
Moving past Barry's obsession with bombing innocents, I think Flores should be an S tier, mainly because his entire kit is great, his gun is super reliable, and his drone can destroy enemy utility.
Very fair, Donald. Put Flores in S Obama.
Will do.
Next is Thunderbird. I think S tier.
Slow down there, Sleepy Joe. Thunderbird is not S tier.
Let him explain, Don.
Why, thank you, George. I say Thunderbird is S tier purely because she is literally Doc, but she can heal you even if she's dead.
Bruh, never let bro in the kitchen ever again.
Bird is not S tier. Her heals are shit and she can heal the enemy. It's that simple.
Not only that, but she lost both her nitro cell and her impacts. She is F tier.
I would put Bird in F, but to put Joe's opinion into consideration, she'll be bumped up to D. But that's as high as she goes.
Thanks, Obama.
Now we have Osa.
S tier. She's great for map control.
Her guns are pretty good as well.
Osa is just a really strong operator.
Next up is Thorn. She's a similar case to Warden. People use her because she has a good gun with a 1.5.
S tier.
God damn it, Don. Thorn is a B tier.
Wrong, George. Her gun is great and her gadget is quite stupendous.
And that take was quite stupid. Like most operators, she is carried by her gun. Her gadget is pretty ass.
Yeah, Donnie Thorn goes in B tier. Keep taking those L's.
Fine. You guys just don't know a good operator when you see one.
Next is Azami. I think she's S tier.
S tier is right. Not only does she have a solid gun, but her gadget is super useful.
There isn't a whole lot to say about her.
Drop her in S, Obama.
Next is Sense. What a worthless operator.
Worthless is right, Donnie. The POF is one of the worst assault rifles in the game.
And her smokes are really easy to deal with.
She can be useful in some situations, so she's not F tier, but definitely D tier. Next is Grim. He got a bit of a buff. He can now switch between modes on his launcher.
Even with that, he's still pretty mediocre. I think C tier.
He has a pretty good loadout. His gadget is just extremely niche.
I think C tier is fair. He's pretty useful if used correctly.
Putting him in C. Next is Solus. I think this is another easy one.
Yep, easiest S tier ever.
Definitely the best roamer in the game.
Drop Solus in S, just like how you drop bombs on innocents, Barry.
Next up is Brava. I wonder what you guys think of her.
She's mid. Her drones are loud as fuck and rarely the equipment you hack are ever useful.
It takes super long to hack something and it's really loud so the enemies can hear it from a mile away.
I would say D tier, but the rest of her kit is pretty good. So I think C tier.
C tier works.
Next is Fenrir.
I think he's S tier. His traps are super strong.
With his traps, it's super easy for him to get kills.
Fenrir is definitely busted. He is 100% S tier.
Finally, we have the newest operator, Ram.
S tier. She has the R4C with a 1.5 and a 2 times.
And her boogie drones are super loud, which allows her teammates to push the objective without being heard.
She counters damn near every gadget in the game. I think one final S tier is a good place to leave off.
Well, that's it. We have finished the tier list.
Goddamn, finally. That shit took forever.
But we all had a good time making this list.
Well, I still have a couple hours of Adderall left. Y'all down to play ranked?
I'm down.
We'll have to find a fifth person. I don't trust a random.
Maybe we can get Bill to play with us.
Sounds good.